Hallelujah.
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 Shabbat shalom lachem.
Shabbat shalom laka.
Giving all praise to the Holy One of Israel for blessing us with a beautiful gift of life on this beautiful, warm Shabbat day. Thank God that the sun has returned. It's a beautiful thing. I feel like home again. But in this season, I fully pray that the Most High will be with those, especially the elders that are affected with this kind of weather. You know, hoping and praying God will ensure that their ear is working properly so that they can survive this period of time. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
At this time, I'd like to ask you to join me in singing the song that One of Us Works Will Tell as we continue with our beautiful Shabbat day services. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The
heavens declare it, the glory is thine, the earth you see, your honor our creator, forever to thee we lift sing of the He maketh darkness oh, thy wondrous word will tell, and when we do we'll cry unto thee, for lo, when thou hearest, thy mercies will see. Thou sendest thy angels to show us the way. To thee we say, King of the He maketh darkness
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shemuel Kusha. At this time, I'd like to open up our psalm service. And for every regular Shabbat, our psalms are the 79th Psalm, Psalms 121, 124, and Psalms 148. Allow persons to volunteer themselves to lead us in reading of these four Psalms mentioned. Psalm 79, 121, 124, Psalms 148. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay. Very Shoshana, let's welcome her back with a shout for Psalm 79.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, Mark.
O Yah, the heathen are come into thine inheritance. They have defiled thy holy temple. They have made Jerusalem into heaps.
They have given their bodies of thy servants to be food unto the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy holy ones unto the beasts of the earth.
They have shed their blood like water round about. Jerusalem with none to bury them.
We
We
are
are become a taunt to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us.
How long, O Yah, wilt thou be angry forever? How long will thy jealousy burn like fire?
Pour out thy wrath upon the nations that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms that call not upon thy name.
For they have devoured Yaakov and laid waste his habitation.
Remember not against us the iniquities of our forefathers. Let thy compassion speedily come to meet us, for we are brought very low.
Help us, O Yah, of our salvation, for the sake of the glory of thy name, and deliver us, and forgive our sins for thy name's sake.
Wherefore shall the nations say, where is their power? Let the avenging of thy servants' blood is shed be made known among the nations in our sight.
Let the groaning of the prisoner come before thee, according to the greatness of thy power. Set free those that are appointed to death.
And render unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach wherewith they have reproached thee, O Yah.
So we that are thy people and the flock of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will tell of thy praise to all generations.
Hallelujah.
So that, Yah, for this day, the warmth of it and all, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah. Okay, Psalms 121. A code Kepsiba. Let's welcome her Bavakasha. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.
I will lift up my eyes unto the mountains, from whence shall my help come.
My help cometh from Yahuwah, who made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold, he that keepeth Israel will neither slumber nor sleep.
Jehovah is thy keeper, Jehovah is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night.
Jehovah shall keep thee from all evil. He shall keep thy soul.
Jehovah shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever. Hallelujah.
I'd like to say, Toda Yehovah, giving all honor and praises unto the Holy One of Israel, and thanking him for life and strength, and thanking him for the things that he has done in my life, and thanking him for your lives and the things that he has done for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Psalms 124. Let's switch to the next side of the floor. Any volunteers from amongst the brothers in our midst? Psalms 124 and 140. Let's welcome him, Bavakasha. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom. Kar.
A song of ascents of David. If it had not been Yehovah who was for us, let Israel now say.
If it had not been Yahuwah who was for us, when men rose up against us,
Then they had swallowed us up alive when their wrath was kindled against us.
then the waters had overwhelmed us, the streams had gone over our souls.
And the proud waters had gone over our soul.
Blessed be Yahuwah, who hath not given us as a prey to their teeth.
Our souls escaped as a bird at its snare devours. The snare is broken and we are escaped.
Our help is in the name of Yahuwah, who made heaven and earth.
Hallelujah.
Just want to thank you, Lord, for letting me be alive today. Letting you all be alive today to see another holy Shabbat day. Allowing us to make it to the morning, allowing us to have a good lunch, and allow us to make it here to this afternoon service. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah.
Our psalmist, let's welcome Kayeli. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom Lecha.
Psalms 148. Praise ye Yehovah from the heavens, praise him in the heights.
Praise him, all his angels. Praise him, all his hosts.
Praise ye him, sun and moon, praise him, all you stars of light.
Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that are above the heavens.
Let them praise the name of Yah, for he commanded and they were created.
He hath also established them forever and ever. He hath made a decree which shall not be transgressed.
Praise Yehovah from the earth, ye sea monsters and all deep.
Fire and hail, snow and vapor, stormy wind fulfilling his words.
Mountains and all hills, fruitful trees and all seas.
Beasts and all cattle, creeping things and winged fowl.
Kings of the earth and all peoples, princes and all judges of the earth.
Both young men and maidens, old men and children.
Let them praise the name of Yah,
Hallelujah.
for his name alone is exalted. His glory is above the earth and heaven.
And he hath lifted a horn for his people, a praise for all his holy ones, even for the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Hallelujah.
I just want to say, a small crowd to be able to hear voices and people clapping and singing and having a good time. Please allow for the people that have traveled, sorry y'all for allowing them to make it to New York safely to be at the Unity Shabbat, and praying that they hope we make it, that they make it back safely so that we can see them hopefully next week and for the weeks to come.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thanking the Most High for the psalmist, their words, hoping and praying Yah will bless their prayers, bless their endeavors, and even do likewise for all BeChukotai. At this time, I'd like to ask you to Kumu, join me in standing as we unite our voices to give songs of praise to the Holy One of Israel. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
First song, of course, you cannot end the day without singing the song Baruch Hashem. That'll be the first song. The song Baruch Hashem, meaning blessed be the name of Jehovah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem, Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem, Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem, Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem, Shel
Hallelujah.
As the brothers and sisters meet today in New York, we know they're all striving to be unified. We pray earnestly that, as the prophecy says, once we became alive, when the dry bones came together, the next stage was for the two sticks to come together. I pray that God truly unifies this nation of Israel. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Sing the song Unity, found on the 12th page in our psalm. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Fingers spread how to get the strength to see. Go ahead, take a bit. Take that up to
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yochai.
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 Okay, we thank Yah for the opportunity to praise His high and most majestic name. I just now like to, well, I have a few things that I would love to do with you. I know it's a few of us. We gotta make it work.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this reminds me when I was living in Barbados with the community there. I mean, this year would be a packed Shabbat. There's a few people, and it used to be so beautiful. You know? The first thing I'd like to do is open up a question and answer period. Anyone can ask a question, anyone can answer a question, but in the case of controversy, we at the Miss Biakafila hold the right to the last word, not that we know more, but we're the point of order, the Holy Shabbat. So at this time I'd like to open up our question and answer period. You can ask any question dealing with the Sidra, in life, whatever it is. Okay, Gever Shoshana.
Under what circumstances would we be using the valuation that was given to us today? The valuation.
Okay.
What would be the circumstances where we would use that, utilize that?
Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
In today's terms, I don't think there would be a point of having valuation. The only thing I can think of that compared to that would be when you get your house appraised. But in any other circumstances, when a vow is taken, it should be taken in front of a priest or a Levite so that it's substantiated. But anything else, I don't see how we would use that in today's terms. Unless somebody else has another thought, I just don't see it that way.
How was it used before?
How was it used in ancient days? It was used when a person was giving something to Yah, in service of Yah. So their house could have been used in service for the Creator. They donated that field, they donated their house, they donated somebody's time in their family. That's how that valuation was done. So they would go before the priest, and the priest would say, okay, but you're trying to donate this, that, and the third, and this is what the value of it. So it's just like almost like getting a, what did I say? An appraisal.
But in today's situation, it was a people. We got the evaluation for each person.
That's how it started. That's how it started. But it drifted off into other terms. But it began with the valuation of a person, and I would say that they would be giving their service to the Creator as an individual, kind of like Hannah and Samuel. And so that's the thought that comes to mind when I think about a person giving their time to the service of God. That's how I think about it.
It's like the whole concept of time is money. You know this, and they came back to the whole idea of the Jubilee. Everything was based on the Jubilee, but your time has a valuation attached to it. In today's circumstances, let's say you have your private business. Let's say you are a substitute teacher, and you can negotiate your price. It would be like, okay, I work for so much an hour, kind of thing. When you look back at many of the ancient concepts, it's amazing to see how today it still is practiced, like the valuation of a house. I want to donate my house for 3 years for the Levites to use. What's the valuation of it? So stuff like that. Like was it an appraiser? An appraiser would come in and, you know, like in the case of insurance. So it's still used today.
I also would say that really donating one's time to the service of the Creator is what the focus of the Sidra, from my perspective, is really having people donate their services and their time to the upkeep of the building, but also the people that come to the building. And so all of this money that was given to the Kohanim was given for the upkeep of the sanctuary. And so when we hear an edict go out that we are trying to raise funds, that would be your way of giving your funds or maybe your time, because everybody doesn't have the funds. They might have the time that they can give. But it's basically donating your time to the service of Yah. In ancient days, they would donate their houses, their fields, and whatnot. A lot of that stuff we don't have. So I would say donate your time and your services to the Creator. In those terms, they used the word of vow, almost like they used the word neder, I believe, or neged, whatever that word is, but it was actually a vow a commitment that a person made. So I'm saying in this day and time, the only way we can do that is to really commit our time and our works to Yah's people and to the service and the upliftment of Yah's name.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom, Nicole.
Shabbat Shalom.
My question also goes along those lines. I was thinking about it earlier this week, and keeping in the frame of mind how it does mention neder in regards to a vow, but could those valuations also be used in matters of judgment? Like if two 20-year-old men are out there playing and horse playing, and one of them ends up breaking the other one's leg. You know, okay, well, a man of that, of that age, that's 50 shekels, but it's your leg, so maybe that's like 8 to 10 shekels, plus you got to pay for, the time that he would be out of work, as we know the Torah states, or just different matters like that, because it does also mention in that chapter that if a man did something worthy of death, that he can't redeem himself. So can those amounts that are given also be used in matters of judgment when those things need to come about?
Absolutely. When you think of Levitical cities, you think of like today's situation. I think I mentioned before, like the police force. You think of the lawyers. You think about the judges. The Levites were functioning in those capacities, so that when it came to judgments like that, they were the ones that actually set the fine. So you call it a fine. You got to pay a charge or a fine. That is what it basically was.
Right.
So that, of course, these things would be prevention. You pull up into, let's say, a busy supermarket, and the only parking space is a handicap parking space. You think twice because there's a fine attached to it. It's there, but the fine is attached to it. So in each days as well, the valuation, of course, they would have their deliberations and the Torah as well to guide us to what fine or valuation to place on these people. Many times people look at it in isolation of today, and they would say, well, it's like kind of slavery putting valuation people, but that's basically what it was. How much would it cost if this happens?
Right.
Because as individuals, if something happens, you have to be punished for it.
Okay.
In the case of it could be person time today, it could be paying a fine, whatever it is.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions? Carry on?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Kind of on the same lines, I can recall reading this book, and it was speaking about types, and that all types are monetary. So could your time and your service also be considered your type? Or say you took in a daughter from Israel and she spent, say, 6 months in your home, could that be like your type in a sense? Like taking that daughter in, not asking for anything else?
The whole idea of the type, from what I know in Asar, it comes from the word 10. So it's basically a tenth of your increase. So that is what a type is. It's a 10% of your increase. Whatever your increase was, it could be your corn, whatever it is. Today it boils down to monetary, because that's what we gain. So it has to be 10% of that. I've heard people use that. I've had a question before, but basically it has to be 10% of your increase. From whatever your business is, whatever you make, it has to be 10% of that. I don't know if you can sit with the Levites or whoever to see if you can work a valuation out like that, but it has to be 10% of your increase. That's the whole word. When you look at the structure of the word, that's what it basically means. Okay. If you have no questions, I have questions. Any other questions?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
I just
Shalom.
wanted to respond to you. Even if you were a poor man and you had something coming in, you still would take that 10. So if it was minimal, you know what I mean, you still had to pay that type. The whole gives exceptions for certain laws, that if a man is poor, for instance, when it came to the valuation, it says if he's poor, then the Kohanim would make an evaluation based on what he has. And so when it comes to tithe, it doesn't give us that stipulation, it's just a 10. And so if your increase was small, or whatever you gained that year or that month was small, you just did 10% of what you got in. If it was larger, you gave a little bit more, but it was based off, as he said, that word, ma'asar, asar, 10.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Kinokoti.
Did she have to stand up?
No.
Shalom.
Shalom.
What is your intake on, we know that the Most High, that, Ham, Lot's son, we know that it's something that he did wrong to make the Most High mad at him when he went into his father's tent. And he came out and he went to his brothers and told them how, their father was unclothed, right? It's something that he did wrong. Because the Most High was upset. The Most High put a curse on him, right?
He cursed his Ham's son, Canaan. He didn't curse Ham, but go on.
You said his son? Okay, but what do y'all think that he did wrong? Because if my mom's door was unlocked when I went to her house, it would be nothing for me to just walk in, and if my mother was sitting there unclothed, I didn't think it was nothing for me to tell my brothers, yo, mama in there, yo, no clothes on, whatever, she must be drunk, whatever. But why do y'all think the Most High was mad at him? I really don't know. There was something he did wrong, but what do y'all think?
Shabbat Shalom. I don't know why you got here. All right, let me try to give you it from Hebraic terms. Hebraically, when you look in the book of what is it, Leviticus, the 18th chapter, where the Creator says, thou shalt not see the nakedness of thy father, thy mother, they're not talking about a naked body. They're talking about having some type of sexual intercourse with these individuals. And so when you look back at Noah, you said, when you say Lot, you meant Noah. I'm sure you meant
Did
Noah.
I say Lot?
It's okay. It's all right. So you had Noah, and men of that understanding would never curse another person if Moreh Shemuel did the deed. So he cursed Canaan. He never cursed Ham. He cursed his grandson.
Right.
And so there was something, and our understanding that happened, he either witnessed the sexual act or partook of it. There was something that he got involved with that his grandfather, when he came up out of his drunkenness, said, hey, you did something that was incorrect. And so we think that it was of a sexual nature that something happened. We're not sure the details because it doesn't give us that. But when we look along the lines of the Hebraic thought, it gives the same connotation that you should not have those type of ancestral sexual contacts within your family. So we know that Canaan did something sexually with either the grandfather or the grandmother. Something happened in that way, but not naked body. Looking at your naked body is one thing, but having sexual intercourse is another.
But why do you say that he did? It doesn't say that he had any kind of sexual. It doesn't say that.
Well, just because it doesn't say that.
It was a mistake that he walked in and saw that. I'm sure he didn't know that his grandfather was, unclothed.
I don't think it was based on his grandfather being unclothed. They use the same Hebrew term when they talk about looking at your father's nakedness. We know when they use that term, your father's nakedness, we're talking about who?
The grandma.
The wife.
The wife of your father. And so that's why we geared towards there's something happened sexually. We're not saying that he had sexual intercourse. We don't know that, but we know that in those terms, something happened that the Creator was not happy about and Noah was not happy about. That's the only thing that I can give you.
In other words, it's not written there, but just like you said, something deeper happened.
Right, but it doesn't even say that his wife was there. It doesn't even say that. It doesn't say that Noah's wife was there.
As
Go ahead, find the portion.
Zadok is saying, every language you have idiomatic expressions. And the idiomatic expression, a subtle way in the Hebrew, there are two things you would see, like for sexual intercourse, they would say, and he knew his wife. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, a person that's opening the Bible, they would say, oh, he knew his wife was so significant about that. But the fact that biblical language, you know what it means, what's inferring.
Right.
Similarly, when we say that he saw the nakedness of his father in the 9th chapter, it says here, 9:22, and Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. So when you speak about the nakedness of his father, he's referring to the mother.
Yeah, go to Leviticus.
Cain, 18. Okay? So basically that is what it's saying. I don't know how far we can go in with
Let's go
small
to Leviticus,
ears.
the 18th chapter, the Bible says. So Leviticus, the 18th chapter, and let's start at verse 6.
None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am Jehovah.
Go ahead.
The nakedness of thy father, and the nakedness of thy mother, thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover.
So they in Hebrew, what they're saying is his unnakedness. We're not talking about a naked body, but there's an intimate connection between a man and a woman. And so when it says the nakedness of your father is his woman, that's the only person that should be interacting with that woman intimately like that is who? The father. So that's how the Hebrew terms work. And they use the same word, I believe it's Erwat. Erwat in the book of Genesis when you're talking about Noah, and you're talking about this in Leviticus 2 books later. So we're talking, the Hebrew terms infer certain things. And so English don't really give you that. And so again, as Gavesh Shoshana says, when you're talking about a man's nakedness, you actually talking about his woman, not that one of your children. My son saw me naked this morning. There was no harm in that. I don't walk around naked like that, but I'm just saying, if they come into the shamus to hand me something, they're going to see my body. That's not a big deal. But when you go and you have a sexual relation, that's why the Creator said, none of you shall approach to your family members. And so that's something that happened with Canaan and the grandmother and the grandfather. Something happened. Now, there are other writings that tell us that something sexual happened between Canaan and the grandmother, but based on what's written here in the Holy Scriptures, we can't substantiate that. But only by the language. The language tells us another story.
Okay, it takes a bit of reading, etc. Because in the 8th verse it says, "The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover; it is thy father's nakedness." And from that premise, that's where we're building our understanding. Okay, any other question?
Just hopefully we were able to answer your question. I know we might disagree, but hopefully we were able to bring a little bit more clarity to your question.
Any other question? Okay, see, there's no other question. Let me start calling people for questions. For the nervousness. Basically, a sister sent me a text dealing with the whole topic of abortion. Because right now we see the law, the abortion law, that people are very upset that they can't kill their children anymore. That's how I look at that. It's crazy. But when you look at, I think I mentioned this morning of the European population is dwindling. Okay? And when you see them put laws in place, it's to prevent the women from just being able to do that. To take it as an option that, okay, I get pregnant in some way, I don't want a child, I can, abort a child. When you look at population numbers, let's say amongst the Hispanic population, when we go out in the field and we go to any Hispanic house to do our job, the woman's pregnant. They are multiplying at a very fast rate. And the Europeans in the country, they see this and they're threatened. That's why Trump has this whole immigration policy and so on. That's it, because they realize that their population is diminishing around the world. So they have to put a law in that state to say, look, women, if you try to do an abortion or you abort a child, you are going to be punished. It's illegal. That's what they're trying to actually do, because it's becoming an epidemic in the European population, this abortion situation or the lack of a birth rate. When you look at elders and you look at young people, there's a gap between them because not many children are being born today. And then you have the whole idea of the people that like the same gender kind of situation. That diminishes population growth. So their population is in a serious situation. Walk through any ghetto where our people are. The girl is young, she got a baby on her hip, another one on the way. It's a bad situation, but we are multiplying, and they are not so. So according to Torah, I have never seen any law that says, thou shalt not do abortion. How can we as Israelites, support the argument that as Israelites we don't promote abortion? Where can you do that in the Tanakh?
Good question.
That we what?
That we don't do abortion.
We don't do it.
Where can you find it in the Tanakh?
That we don't.
Yes, that we don't abort children.
Thou shalt not kill. Murder in this case.
But that's not people say that is not a being as yet, they're still inside the mother, whatever.
The law
It's a
say
lie.
one heartbeat.
It's a lie.
Which law says that?
And it says to multiply.
Ooh.
Okay, good point.
I like that.
Next.
How when the Most High put the first breath of life into Adam, from that first breath, he was considered a living soul.
He was outside the body.
He was.
I'm using these arguments because there's some people outside.
He's playing the
I got
advocate.
you.
There's some people outside. Can't miss your ribbon. You sure it's one for the mic? No. I'm in trouble. I'm sorry.
So we forgot to pass this around.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I have given this a lot of thought over the years. So you're exactly right. The sisters were saying, be fruitful, multiply. That was the first time he said he blessed someone, right? So one, you have a death culture. Being fertile and multiplying, that's a problem that you're solving like it's HIV. Like, we gotta kill this thing. This is your life. What are you doing? The more pertinent ones are, where is the soul? Where does the soul say, like, to answer a question with a question, what does the Torah say your soul resides? In what? What physical thing carries the soul, the nefesh?
Body.
What in your body carries you? What without which in your body?
First thing that's developed.
Your blood.
Okay.
Okay?
The heart.
And then the heartbeat, which only takes a few weeks. Even if you say, okay, it's not immediate, which you could argue, here you actually have a boom, 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 boom. Everybody's done it when, you have the fetal heart monitor. That's the same heart that's gonna outtake you. You'll be dead, they'll be at your funeral. That's still the same heart. So here you have people rising up saying, and it's a very reasonable bill. It says if there's a heartbeat detected, you're gonna lose your medical license if you're stopping somebody's heart, right? And there's no, it's not ectopic, it's not like the mother's gonna die or anything like that. I don't feel like having a baby, I don't have the budget for it. I'm in a tough situation relationally. That's what the Torah says. Your soul is there. That's what's making your heart beat. You are stopping a heartbeat, and that is the definition of taking your life.
But what law is that breaking?
You should not destroy a soul. Whoever destroys a soul, he shall be put to death. Makeh nefesh, mot yumat.
Does it say in the Tanakh that a man should not drop the seed? When a man decides that he want to.
Spill the seed.
Does it? That a man should not spill the seed? Right, that's. So y'all know what I'm talking about though, right?
Can.
Okay, so if he don't want him to do it, then he must don't want the female to. That's kind of seed.
Right? Take it around.
Yeah, I see your point, and I like how you're thinking, because what I'm doing, I'm just provoking thought. I keep Torah, so don't think I'm just provoking thought so that you can be engaged in the conversation. Because, look, as you study civilizations, I can remember we had to study how democracy began in ancient Rome. And I mean, it's just ideas that people come up with. So when you see the whole abortion situation, it's just ideas that people have, that they come up with as to why I want to do that. So let's say, okay, we are against abortion. What would happen in the case of rape?
That's something different.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
It's a difficult situation when you have that too, but it's worth thinking out a bit. Shabbat Shalom. So things to keep in mind in terms of priority. Obviously, a crime has happened, and the Torah talks about when someone is raped, and she's a victim just like a murder victim, right? In other words, it's a difficult situation. The man who does the raping is to be put to death, so on and so forth. But we understand that, one, when there's life in the womb, take Yaakov and Esau, that was a very hard pregnancy. And remember, Rivka, in that case, thought she was going to die. It was so difficult. But because if she did something, if she said, punch me in the stomach so these babies will die, that would have changed history. So we don't know why that child was conceived. That's, I think, a difficult, but it's a real answer.
Mm-hmm.
A thing I think about in our ancestry, certainly in America, I don't know how it was in the Caribbean, but you have a lot of mixture of European blood when it's illegal to have a mixed marriage. How do you have that? So the European forced himself on a woman. We would not exist if every time that happened, that child was destroyed. Those women had to bring those child up. I'm not saying that it's like a hard, fast rule, but it's a reality of our existence that every time that happened on a plantation, if every child was destroyed, we would not, at least in North America, many of us would not exist to this day. So those are things that I'm just saying I'd love to hear what the sisters have to say, but those are things that always come in my mind when that comes up, that it's the rapist's fault first and foremost, put them to death. If you had that law in place, that slows a lot. We don't have that. We have a very fast and loose culture, but because they're not being put to death, the other last piece that I bring out is, it was, I think, the last time they did some statistics on it, I saw this last week, that was 0.1%. So 1% is 0.01 of the whole population. So 0.1% is basically one time or something it ever happened in the states that they did these laws, where somebody is getting an abortion and they tell the doctor, I was raped and this is why I'm having an abortion. Doesn't mean that it's a pleasant situation, but that means 99% of the time,
It ain't that.
I got in a situation with a guy I don't want to deal with, and I paid $400. And I think we have to keep that in mind. As that's
It costs $400?
or whatever it is, It ain't free, but I think that's something to keep in mind. But again, I would love to hear from you.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Before I go, any one of the sisters want to respond? Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to say something. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Say something like, I don't see why people are getting abortions. The, technology has advanced to where you could have where you can have the morning after pill. You don't have to wait 6 weeks or 18 weeks, or you could do the morning after, go to CVS, and there's the pill. I mean, why are you?
So that's pre-abortion? Then, I don't really want to go there.
It's not a
No,
question, it's just more of a information.
Just like contraceptives, is that Torah or not? But I don't want to go there.
That's enough.
I don't want to go there.
Right there.
I give it up to those sisters in Egypt when Pharaoh told them, well, when every time a man is born, kill him. And they didn't do that.
Right.
Hallelujah for that.
Shemuel.
Okay, Shalom. Just to talk to, in the instance when the acts about rape, if we look at Deuteronomy 23:2, it says, a bastard should not enter into the congregation of Jehovah. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter the congregation of Jehovah. Which means that that soul was allowed to be lived. Bastard is a product of an unseemly or unpleasant relationship. So it means this scripture tells us that bastard was not killed. He was able to live despite that unpleasant relationship. But this law just basically says that he's not welcome into the congregation. So to answer that question, no, you cannot even kill a child if they're a product of rape or any unpleasant relationship. Because when the law is given about rape, Jehovah would have said, not only kill the person, but kill the child as well too. So that's my understanding of that, to that question.
That, I guess, one Shemuel had to say, but that was one of my points here for the abortion. The Mamzir wasn't aborted. Because when we think about the mamzer, it's probably an incestual relationship, something like that. And the child was not aborted. That is from Torah. He was just not allowed, he or she was just not allowed to be considered something, whatever. But no abortion, abortion was not an option. Okay?
Okay, just wanted to bring clarity to that. That was a good point. But I wanted to bring it from the Hebraic thought. The word is mamzer. They translate it as bastard. But the root word is zar. Zar means strange. And so to Moreh Shemuel's point, it's more than likely an ancestral type thing, or ancestral, hold on, ancestral. Ancestral type thing. I don't think any of us could answer that. I think it would be coming from a spiritual perspective, from a Kohen, that if something like this happens, of course we're going to follow the law that this rapist would be put to death, but also that the Kohen would give clarity and bring spiritual understanding, because what has happened to this sister is very terrible. No man could ever understand what rape is to a woman, no less a woman having a baby by a rapist. And so all of those things, a priest would have that spiritual understanding on how to get her to understand that maybe this life needs to be brought into the world. I don't know. I'm just giving you the thoughts that, you know, we shouldn't even be a people like that. I want to bring something else. Beware of the relationships you jump into and just have casual sex, because guess what? A seed and an egg meet up, what's going to happen? A baby comes. And so that's where that's what the Torah really teaches us, is to stay away from promiscuous type situations. You in a relationship with a guy you're not ready to have a baby with, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. So we got to be clear on that. Rape is a whole nother situation that, again, the spiritual men of the community would be able to guide and handle this sister, because, again, this is a deep cut. This ain't no, you know, she just got cut on the wrist and that's going to be all right with some Neosporin and a Band-Aid. This thing is deep-rooted in her spirit, that she was taken advantage of by a man and that she was impregnated by him. If he's dead, that still don't mean nothing, because she still got to look at this child and have a reminder in her mind that she was taken advantage of. And so, again, I don't think we can really answer that. The sisters have their perspective, but in my mind, the way I think is that when this happens, yes, he's going to be put to death. He's going to get the full extent of the punishment, but now we got to deal with this woman in this new life. Thank you very much.
And I just wanted to say it helps that he be put to death.
Yeah, say that.
You know, that's gonna help ease her pain.
I know that Father Jacob was scared when his sons did what they did to Shechem, but I don't blame them. I don't even remember the Most High punishing them for what they did to them guys. Took advantage of their sister. That was wrong.
Because I think in basically every culture, even if they understand Torah or not, you rape, you die. That's basically it. Unless you're those warriors, like in Africa and in the Middle East, really go on those rape and rampages. But in civil society, in every culture that I know of, rape is punishable like that.
We're not even allowed to do rape and pillaging. The Creator said if you want to take a sister from another nation that's not cursed, they have to have some time to mourn their family, get themselves together before you take her. But you can't. We were, as a people, we were taught against that we don't, because you're in the military, and you see a white girl, let me just go ahead and no, that's not how we function. Remember, we're supposed to be a light to the world. And so we got to keep that in mind.
If I could. Shabbat Shalom, Nicole.
Shabbat
Shalom. Kane, I've been definitely thinking about this topic a lot recently, with it being spoken on so much in the mainstream. For one, I feel like the conversation about abortion is dishonest when the rape argument, as we've been talking about, is only not even a full 1%. But yet that is made like the poster child of the reason why the people that feel like they should have the right to practice abortion You know, well, what about the people that get taken advantage of, that get raped? But statistically, that's not even half. I mean, it's not even a full percent. So I don't feel like, you know, for the people on the outside that they're having an honest conversation about it. Because we live in a very hypersexualized, lewd society,
Right.
where people want to be able to have their cake and eat it too, and still be able to go home without any accountability or repercussions about what they did. And, you know, as it's been said, people know when a man and woman comes together what could potentially happen. So, you know, we have to raise back up the level of purity and sanctity we have about the act in itself. The act is for creating and bringing forth life. It's not for one night hookup, you know, on a college campus somewhere because you want to have fun. You know, and so I think we have to really be able to have honest conversations when these topics come up, as opposed to looking at the very small percentage and making it seem like it's the whole. So I just want to make that comment.
There's always a hidden agenda behind what they do. Again, it says BeChukotai, you know, that we follow the statutes and the commandments of the Creator. So we shouldn't even be in that environment,
Right.
you know, but we are.
Right.
However, the people that are in this room, we're teaching and promoting against that.
Right.
Because, of course, you know, this room is, most of the room is Yeladim.
Right, right.
And that's on most occasions. And so we have to keep that first and keep plugging and teaching our children, because we were talking earlier at the lunch table. I remember when you had to have a key for WHT. Anybody remember WHT? Please don't make me feel old by myself. There was HBO and then WHT. That was the other, Moreh saying, what's that? That before those primary cable channels came out, Showtime and HBO, you had a little box. It was called WHT. And you had a key on it, and that's how you turned it on. You couldn't just power it up. And everybody, look, y'all older than me, so don't even act like But this is prior to Showtime and all those other channels. And so now you can watch regular basic television and it's nothing but promiscuity. And so, you know, people like forget, tell the children close their eyes. They know what's going on. They can pull it on the tablet, pull it up on the tablet faster than you can blink your eyes. And so it has to be an education that we continue to teach our children, the adults in the community, because again, these Europeans, if you watch them, it was mostly Europeans out there. They're out there advocating for, it's my body, I should be able to do what I want to do. But what you're doing is, and they ain't not just one night mistake on college campus, this is happening over the course of years. And so now every time something happens, you want to get an abortion. Well, you've been here 22 times, so that's a problem. And so it's all the behavior and the practice that we have to teach our family to stray away from.
Right. On that whole point, I think it's really good for all of us, brothers and sisters, to know what the history was of, you know, it's like when you name something like, you know, Americans for apple pie, you know, it's like some horrible group, you know, it's trying to undermine society. When they name something like Planned Parenthood, it's like, well, what do you want? Unplanned Parenthood? You know, they give you a name that you can't refute. Just look at the history. Margaret Sanger, she was a eugenicist, like about 100 years ago. Eugenics means you have good genes. And they pushed 100 years ago for forced sterilization, and that was into the 70s. And if those who were not familiar, it was the law of the land, certainly before World War II, before the Nazis picked that up from what was going on here, where, you know what, you're on public assistance, and you're pregnant, we're paying welfare, okay, guess what? We're tying your tubes, I don't care what you say. You want the welfare, we will tie your tube. We will sterilize you as a male. That was the law of the land. For anyone that was seen as underneath, you know, white blood, who keeps getting pregnant. And that could be just a working class family. You have 10 kids, and you're working class, well, we'll sterilize you. The movement that pushed that was Planned Parenthood. And since the 70s, it was, okay, well, you have a right, you have a freedom to be reproductive. Let me teach you about your freedom not to have children. And who gets to have this message where, if you look in the map where their centers are, it's always the hood. A third of those abortions are black. In New York, I actually found recent statistics. It's easy to confirm. The birth rate is lower than the abortion rate in New York City in the black community. Right under your nose, it's Pharaoh. In the name of freedom. The same exact mission, but they'll have a very nice veneer. Oh, we're trying to help women finish college and they had a mistake and blah, blah, blah. No, we've now actually turned the birth rate upside down. So a pregnancy is more likely to be aborted if it's a black pregnancy in New York, as of I think this year, than to be carried to term. That's dangerous. Because then they put us on the front lines to say, see, you know, it's Kamala, what's her name? The black, yeah, Paris. She's like, oh, I'm all about that. So that's the sort of thing that
Any sister
must be aware of.
has any, what's that?
I was gonna say, oh, sorry, no, go ahead. No, I was gonna say the Most High told us not to be a harlot. And I think the biggest mistakes we make is getting in a bed with somebody before we get to know them. You know, then we, you know, all pregnant and all that stuff, and not even together. It's not even a togetherness. It was a one night stand because we decided to, instead of using our head, we hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom.
What about in cases where they know that the child is going to be born with some kind of deformity or illness where the child will most likely die anyway? Or what about cases where it's children? There was a Dr. Phil episode recently, and the girl was 11, the boy was 12. And they got pregnant. I mean, I know it's a life, and I know that we're not supposed to kill, but in the situation where you know the child is going to be born with deformities and illnesses, and I mean, is it fair to just bring a life into the world knowing that it's going to suffer like that?
That is a wonderful question, but I'm asking the question.
Why would they be deformed?
You know that sometimes, you know,
The test.
birth defects and illnesses that the child is going to be born with some kind of
Okay, I want to respond to that. You won't know anything until the child comes out the womb. They say all of those different things based on the test, but you really won't know anything until the child comes out of the womb. Also, I've seen cases of children who were born with deformities, and there were certain herbs and practices that they did that were able to reverse those effects. And so, again, I go back to the point of, number one, putting your trust in Yah. That's the first thing. Number two is, in the case that Rivka had the problems with Yaakov and Esau knocking up against her, what did she do? She went to a man of Yah. And so I think that's one of the things that we got to consider, that when we're not sure and we don't know what's going on, go to a man or a woman of Yah that's going to help direct you in a way that's going to give you trust and faith in what Yah is going to do. If that child is brought into the planet, I know a sister and a brother particularly who has a child that has a learning disability. He also looks like he's lacking certain things, you know what I mean? He's slow. And so what you have to do is you have to do everything in your power to help that child. And there's so many different levels that it can be done on. So you don't know what the final outcome is going to be. You just got to do your work, your part. I personally would not consider aborting a child not knowing what the end result's going to be. That's just my personal.
In some cases, they've been where it was the child or the mother. You know, like if the mother brings forth a child, she can die, or there's circumstances like that. Going back to the whole idea of the 12-year-old, 11-year-old, I have two friends. One, she's not alive anymore. The other is, but they were pregnant as teenagers, and they left school, and they got each other everything, and they were able to continue their education. I would not have all the answers, of course. This is something that is a woman's issue. They know what it entails, etc. But when you think of they say it takes a village to raise a child, there will be circumstances within our family situation where something like that will happen.
Absolutely.
How would we deal with it? Are we going to make it seem as though it's the end of the world, or are we going to let them, the two individuals, take that time, let them get a child, whatever, but then help them to be raised in such a manner that they can now become responsible for that life later on. You understand? Because that's what happens in many cultures, like let's say among Europeans. In the royal family, they have so many situations that you will never know about. They make it happen so that it does not become worse. But as it relates to abortion, it's like the judges and the officers, that's what they were there for, to make those particular judgments. Many times we see a law in the Torah, we say like cut and dry, but it's not necessarily like that. There's deliberations, they have to be going, like you see in the court system today, they go for a long time to ensure that decision that they make is the best outcome. If God saw puts us at his hand, she'll go after coincide.
I just wanted to say two things, and let's keep it real. Tekoa, we know Tekoa has a deformity, correct? And what I was told was before he came here, he just stayed in his room. When he came here, the community, the drums, if y'all remember when Tekoa first came here, he was playing the drums. He wasn't taking no posts. Tekoa was playing the drums. And Imam Rishona said it changed his life. So much so, Tekoa, he still can't talk, but he knows how to get these children in order. Just because someone has a deformity doesn't mean that, it's like he said, the end of the world. Again, my love to the sister here, she's blind, but it's not a deformity, a handicap that as people, we can't overcome. We learn how to work with each other to make their life better, because I'm gonna tell you something, as much as we touch Tekoa, Tekoa has touched us. And so again, we just gotta consider that. And consider, it's a struggle for a parent to have to see that. I'm counseling a sister and her husband right now because they're trying to help figure out what they're going to do with their son. And it's like, okay, don't give him the meds, don't give him but work with this and work with that. And he's making some significant progress. It's just that we have to continue to do it over and over. Okay, let me give a cosign.
I don't mean like autism or one leg shorter than the other. I mean like serious health issues where this child is going to suffer and they're in pain and they're sick and I don't mean something that we can actually help with, something that this child is most likely going to die anyway. No, worse than that. I don't even know how to explain it. I remember seeing a woman in the doctor's office when one of the boys had to go, and her child was so deformed. And all he did was scream because he was in so much pain. She's like, I don't know what to do because he's in pain all the time. And he was an infant. And I'm like, it's so horrible because this child is suffering all the time. And she knew that he was going to be born this way because they told her by all the sonograms and everything like that this child is going to be sick. He's going to suffer. He's going to be in pain. He's going to be very deformed. So, I mean, stuff like that. I don't mean like autism and I don't mean that kind of thing. I mean something really deep, and that's what I want.
Judges and officers, you should have in all the gates. There's situations that the judges and the officers will have to sit in, Ikariel, I see Netanyahu, Dola, Shoshana, Kepsiba, so those will be the next people.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
First, I want to say that it's before technology, we didn't really know these things. And we also know that there's nothing new under the sun. So prior to us having this technology readily available to us in such a way that our ancestors was dealing with these situations, maybe not quite as frequent, but they came across them. And once again, it did take that community to move forward with this child, but that's what it was. It was a community effort. You understand what I'm saying? So I say all that to say that some of these situations may truly pull on our heartstrings. You understand what I'm saying? And it may seem the worst. But one thing we know is a mother's love is unlike anything else. And truly with that mother's love and the village, the Most High, that combination right there is amazing. you know, and all glory to the Most High. It'll work itself out. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In reverse, Shoshana. You're coming around, sorry.
Okay.
So I would think that at some point it becomes, you know, you have to look at that family, that couple, that situation, and we can't make a blanket decision about how, you know, these things will be handled. So I know under the circumstances that Sa'adja mentioned, you know, if the woman is distraught and she's feeling like, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, you have to consider that, you know? So that's how I would just state that you have to consider the person who's going to bring forth the life and the husband, you know, hopefully he's there to father.
I was just gonna cow back on Sister Sa'adja and say, also when two individuals get together, make sure you know your blood type and make sure you know if you have sickle cell or not.
That's right.
Because the child will come out very sick and you'll be in the hospital every week. So in a situation like that, you know, parents may consider taking a morning after pill or
You know, when you mentioned the sickle cell part, that's true. I remember when my first marriage, we had to take a blood test. And so it's important, and I remember my daughter Zaria has the sickle cell trait. And so the doctors told us, you know, she can't marry nobody with the trait, otherwise she's going to have a problem. And so those things have to definitely be taken into consideration when we're educating, especially our children getting up with new people, don't know their family history. When you have deformity like that, it's normally some type of either something that they've eaten or some type of family history that nobody even spoke of. And so again, all of those things have to be communicated and looked after.
Shabbat Shalom, Nicole. I work with a great deal of children that would fall in that category of, you know, they could be a lot to deal with, and we potentially want to abort this kind of a child, you know, things the parent could have been thinking about beforehand with the school I work at. And I see a great deal of change in these children when they receive that love and that support from the staff at the school. If they're still with their parents, the support they might get from their parents, or if they might be in a group home or a foster home, and if it's actually a good foster home and they're getting that support and that hands-on service, then a lot of those children we see turn around. You know, I've been at that school for 4 years now, and there's kids I can look at that were in the 7th, 8th grade. They're now in the 11th, 12th, about to graduate, and they're doing a lot better than they were from when I first started working there and encountered them. So, you know, definitely just keeping in mind, and what was said, I also feel like it's a test from Yah. How are we going to treat those that might be a little less privileged, or if you even want to put it that way, than ourselves, to see, are we actually going to be compassionate with this soul? Are we actually going to care and to love them and treat them just like anybody else? You know, because if an individual is not willing to be, you know, merciful and compassionate to that kind of an individual, then what are you going to do with anything that's put under your care? So, you know, the Creator is testing us in a way, one way or the other.
Hallelujah.
When I look at people's situations, disabilities, I'm actually grateful. Just seeing what these people going through in and out the hospital, taking different medicines, I am blessed by the best. You know, I wasn't born visually impaired. The most I took my vision when I was 17. You know, and of course it was devastating, you know, to be able to do something, to not being able to, to do it again, to do it. But I'm grateful because the Most High has given me my independence, which I'm so grateful for. I work at one of the most dangerous jobs. I cut pipes with saws, drilling, screws and dealing with hot water and, burn, I say that to say that there is really nothing that we can't do.
Yeah, man.
I cook, I clean, I got my own house, take care of home and everything. So I don't want nobody to underestimate people with disabilities, because I'm telling you, but some people don't know. Some people don't know how to treat people with disabilities until you show them, Some people don't know, but I'm grateful. The Most High, He got my back. Ever since I've been doing law, the Most High been with me. And it's like, wow, and I've asked the question before, like, wow, how come the Most High ain't introduced Himself to me before? I've been living law for, 12 years this year. And it's like, wow, the Most High ain't been bring me in and introduce, because knowing the Most High is the best thing that could have ever happened, for me.
Hallelujah.
Not having to depend on people. When it's time to go, listen, I pray to the Most High, make sure it's okay with Him, and I'm out. Sitting around waiting on people, you'll never get nowhere sometimes, So I'm grateful. I'm just grateful that I'm not in certain situations that other people are in. I'm not on no medications. I'm not back and forth to no doctors or anything. I'm grateful. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
If I may ask the sister about Kima, I'm just curious, how did you come into the way of life?
A person brought me to service one day. So they said, let me take you to my brother's house so you can see what's going on there. Because another thing I've learned was to never say never. When they first told me that their way of life, how you couldn't do nothing on Friday and Saturday, I used to be like, what? Not me. I can't be like that. What? You can't look at TV on Fridays and say you can't cook. You can't. What? 12 years, family. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Just wondering, what's the name of that genius guy who's in the wheelchair and
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Just think about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, I'm trying to make. Any other questions? No? Okay.
It's not a question, but I think just this is really good as a session.
Yes.
I appreciate you taking on a hot topic like this, and the sisters who've answered and given challenging questions in return. And I think it's important for our children to be able to have this, because as you're starting to see, you look at your social media feed or whatever, you're not going to hear any opposing view. It's like, obviously this is the right way to go, and Trump's against it, so therefore it's good. It's like, wait, we have a Torah that let us know.
Right.
We have to figure out, okay, what's Trump not like, and let me do the opposite. You can do what the Creator says. But I would say this, the prophets tell us that the wicked are going to be cut off, that you will die childless for certain things, and you wonder, how does that look like? And we think of it being like this big Armageddon, like Christian style. People are just going to have Holocaust in every country and nuclear war. And it's like, no, every European-dominated society now, actually, including America now, as of this year, has for white people, below sustainable birth rate. Meaning every year they're losing people. The only other way that happens is if a lot of people are being killed. And it doesn't mean that all European people are bad, obviously. Not all black people are good. But in other words, there's a cutting off process that is happening, put it like that, for a lot of people. And the only people who are going to have family values are going to be raising children and will be left. And we know that much. And that's prophetic. And that means we need to be opening our Tanakhs, take these Haftarot, and go beyond the Haftarah and say, wait a minute, wow. You got Israel, you can go to Israel now, you got massive loss of life, but it's right under people's noses because it's consensual. People are choosing to do this.
Right.
This never happened before. So I think it's just helpful for us to know, hey, children, maybe it's like, look, this stuff has to just go forward, because just don't get caught up. Don't think you can get in any kind of relationship and then take their way out. This is something that the Creator allowed them to have as a system to depopulate certain of their own populations that are not interested in building a godly family.
Emmett?
Yes, I wanted this afternoon to be
Just hold it down.
mostly interactive instead of me just talking. This when we were at the Brotherhood retreat, this is not the first time it happened, but a brother called me. He said a quiet brother. That's what he called me because I'm not talkative except when I'm up here. So, let us look at. I have a few other things I want to cover before we conclude. One of them is a brief portion of history that is something that is actually today is the day of. It's called African Liberation Day. Okay? What is African Liberation Day? Now, everybody knows what that is, right? Okay, the map of Africa. And we know, as we're smart, that Africa is a continent and it's not a country. Okay, so African Liberation Day started out as a brainchild when there was a Pan-Africanist conference in 1958, I think it was. Okay, and I think I mentioned Pan-Africanism before that I was involved. I still am involved in Pan-Africanism because it's a geopolitical movement for black people. The whole idea of when you hear the word pan, it means across. So regardless of where you are, you cross those boundaries and borders to connect with your brothers and sisters around the world. So in 1958, Kwame Nkrumah, he was not yet president of Ghana because Ghana was not independent yet, but he was a young wise person that was a Pan-Africanist. He joined with other leaders from the area to ensure he was pushing forward the idea of United States of Africa. It's not something that's been realized. The last advocate for it was Muammar Gaddafi, and he was even coming up with the currency, the gold currency that would be, of course, the most powerful money on the planet, so of course they have to get rid of him. All right, so the greeting, Happy Africa Day in Guyana is something that ACTA does, and as Israelites we go and we make a contribution to it. Now here we have some of the founding leaders. It happened in 1963 on May the 25th. It became a reality. Okay, and these are some of the leaders. I'll probably go over a few of them. You see Jomo Kenyatta next to Selassie. I think Julius Nyerere is to the end. It's a lot of leaders. One of the things that in Guyana, back in the day, Moreh, we actually were given the task to learn the leaders of the continent of Africa. That's part of our curriculum. You got to know who these men are because it's contemporary history and it's important to know what is required for the continent of Africa. Julius Nyerere, somewhere near in the middle. But one of the things I learned from him, he had a saying that never let your friends determine your enemies. And that was very key with the relationship with other nation states. Because, okay, I'm friends with Togo, and Togo is not talking to Cameroon, it does not mean I can't talk to Cameroon. It's like a schoolyard situation. You're my friend, I'm not talking to him. You can't talk to me either, no. He said, never let your friends determine your enemies. Okay, I have a short video on African Liberation Day, if you allow me to do that. Just give me a second. Ms. Reed, please prepare to turn down the volume, how it jumps up. Video. I thank you for your patience, family. Except you.
South London.
All right. So this is play a few minutes of it, of the African Liberation.
With the admission of Morocco into the African Union as of January 30th, 2017, the AU now consists of all 55 countries on the continent. Based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the main goals of the African Union are to promote the unity and solidarity of African states, ensure their sovereignty and territorial integrity, rid the continent of colonialism and apartheid, and promote international cooperation with the United Nations through a unified voice of common political, social, and economic policies. Although the African continent has suffered through an incredibly turbulent and violent past, the African Union is emerging as a promising platform to tackle the many issues that face the rapidly growing continent. My name is Nathan, and welcome to Caspian Report. One of the first major steps toward a unified Africa took place in 1945 at the 5th Pan-African Conference in Manchester. An influential voice of modern Pan-Africanism was that of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, who at the conference advocated for a United States of Africa. Although the idea did not gather widespread appeal at the time, it did help pave the way for the creation of the African Union's predecessor, the Organization of African Unity, nearly 20 years later in 1963, in which Nkrumah played a vital role. Although aspirations were high of uniting a continent so violently divided by colonialism, the first years of the OAU gave little hope to maintaining peace. In order to make the organization a reality, it needed to appeal to the many African autocrats who were fiercely defensive of their post-colonial independence and who were not keen on the idea of sharing any sort of power with their neighbors. This resulted in the OAU placing emphasis on state sovereignty and adopting a widespread policy of non-intervention of domestic issues, which was ineffective and virtually indifferent towards maintaining peace and stability or defending human rights. A prime example of the ineffectiveness of the OAU was the failure to resolve the conflict over Western Sahara, which has been in dispute since 1975 after separating from Spain. The territory, which was claimed by both Morocco and the Algerian-backed Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, or SAR, led to a 15-year-long war over control of the region. The initial years of the war lacked any cohesive attempt from the OAU in forming concrete proposals for a resolution to the conflict. The situation deteriorated further when in 1982, the OAU formally recognized and admitted the SADR as a member, causing Morocco to withdraw from the organization in protest. It was not until 1991, when the United Nations took a greater role in the crisis, that a ceasefire was finally established. However, progress has recently been made with the readmission of Morocco to the African Union, which represents a major step towards resolving the Western Sahara dispute and is a sign that the AU is becoming a more effective platform for dialogue and cooperation. One of the key shifts in the transition from the OAU to the African Union was that the AU aimed to become a force for democracy and abandon its past tendency to be, as BBC referred to the OAU, a dictator's club. African heads of state are no longer able to ignore democratic principles without fear of intervention from their neighbors. This was no more apparent than in the constitutional crisis of the Gambia in December 2016, when incumbent President Yahya Jammeh refused to step down after an election loss. The Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, which includes the largest African economy in Nigeria, condemned the actions of Jammeh and demanded that he step down. Although their initial demands were ignored by the president, the African Union announced that they offered their full support to the ECOWAS coalition and coordinated the resolution process with the United Nations. When faced with military occupation by neighboring states that were formally backed by the AU, Jammeh accepted defeat and stepped down in January 2017. This solidarity in the face of blatant despotism sets a precedent for the African Union and sends a strong message to other would-be despots. By providing a single unified voice for the entire continent, the African Union legitimizes democratic processes and reinforces the ability of Africa's many regional blocs, like ECOWAS, to coordinate security measures and maintain stability. The main body for driving security efforts is the African Union's Peace and Security Council.
Okay. So, as you were looking at the video, you were seeing images of, beautiful places. That's Africa. Okay? I'm showing that particularly to emphasize the fact that this was, this came out as an idea from Kwame Nkrumah. And as I meditate on what is happening amongst our Israelite family, is that I don't want to be a pessimist, but we're going around in circles. What are we establishing? I heard Rabbi Fournier speak, and he was saying that after over 100 years, we do not have our own schools. Where is our Israelite school? Where is our Israelite bank? Where is our Israelite hospital? Where are these institutions? Okay? We do not have these things, but we're calling ourselves a nation. We do not see that actual work in progress of us establishing ourselves like that. So it may not happen in my lifetime, I pray it does, but when we think about the youth, what are we handing over to them? That they can have the strength and the the advantage to establish those things? What do we have? So the African Union, it came out from Kwame Nkrumah's idea, and it was made a reality by these men. These are some of the men that the first 32 members is something you can do some more reading on, the OAU founders. And also, remember, there was a case, if you follow American history, African-American history, when Malcolm X split from the Nation of Islam. Remember, he was working internationally. And this is one of the groups he was working with. Because remember, he was bringing together, he said, African leaders all over, and they were like, oh, this is going to be dangerous. Because he was from under Elijah Muhammad's teachings, and he was coming up with his own understanding of unifying our people all over the world. So he's one of the lead founders of the OAU. Remember, if you see videos of him when he was in Egypt, etc., he was in conferences like these. Okay, and this is Kwame Nkrumah. He is the first president of Ghana. He studied here in the United States. Let me see. Okay, now Kwame Nkrumah, he was instrumental in bringing about, I'm looking for the year, okay, 61. Just bear with me, let me find this year. But basically, I probably didn't find that slide, but in the 60s, if you go and read it, in 1960, over like 20 African countries became independent. Because once Kwame Nkrumah did it, everybody was able to use that momentum and gain the ability to become independent. And when that happened, the OAU was very important because they wanted to manage their own affairs. Now the OAU is like the United Nations, but the African version. So they, as a bloc, they come together and they deal with their concerns on the level of the United Nations. Okay? And also, this final brother, he was involved in the foundation of the African Union. And we know he's Haile Selassie. As I said before, in America, he's just another face. In the Caribbean, he is. Some people see him as a god. Okay? This is how important Haile Selassie is to us in the Caribbean. So, the headquarters for the African Union is in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where Selassie is from. Okay, he was the former emperor of Ethiopia. Ken points out.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah,
I
Shabbat
just
Shalom.
wanted to make everyone aware of the rabbinical side of the Israelite community with Rabbi Matthews and whatnot. Rabbi Matthews and Rabbi Ford could not become Orthodox rabbis. Those European rabbis would not give them the certification to say that they were rabbis. Rabbi Ford had to go over to Ethiopia, and he got that from Haile Selassie. So Haile Selassie was the one who actually ordained Rabbi Ford and Rabbi Matthews.
We got to talk about that history. And Rabbi Josiah Ford, he was a native of Barbados. Okay, that was the thing, he came up from Barbados. And he was a musician. He was a musical director for UNIA, Marcus Garvey. And he was blessed to perform at Selassie's coronation as well. So when they came up with the name Ethiopian Hebrews or something, they had to get that permission from Selassie to use the name Ethiopian in the name of their congregation. So when you look at the relationship between Africa and the early Israelite understanding, it was very close-knit. But today, there's a great divide on that area. Okay, that's it for the UNIA, for the OAU. Final segment that I want to be extremely interactive, Babakusha. I want us to look at a few Hebrew words. Okay, now, in many Israelite communities, Hebrew is the elephant in the room. Why are we afraid of this language? This is my question to you.
I need loyal.
Anyone? Why? Anyone? Why are you? Is anyone afraid of the Hebrew language in here? How long of a Hebrew conversation can we hold? How many Hebrew words do you learn per day? 3? Okay. Yeah, that's how in the early days, that's how I built my vocab. 2 words a day. And I would just be referring to them all day. And it stuck, and the vocab was able to build. Another way you can do it is whatsoever. 1, look at the things that you do repeatedly, continuously. You sit, you stand, you run, you walk. Learn those words. And also, whatever profession you do, if you're a student, you read, you study, learn those words, etc. Okay? So we'll have a brief Hebrew class. What I want to do is make it interactive. You can, like how we have the sisters, I don't want to make brothers sisters, but the sisters are already together. You can, communicate with each other. The brothers are here. We can do the same. But what I want to look at is just give you a brief idea of like some of the things that I use as a guide. Okay, are you seeing that? No? I can make it bigger. Just look at the heading. It says verbs occurring 500 to 5,000 times. Okay? So you would say these are verbs I need to know if I'm to become, fluent, a little basic conversation. Because, listen, I'm no fluent Hebrew speaker. I'm brave. So when I first came here, I landed in New York. I was going to, it's my second day. I went to the 9/11 memorial thing. So I came off of the subway and I was walking down the ramp to it, and I heard Israeli, his wife was black, he was speaking to her, they were selling a set of things, one of them was a steam iron. And I overheard the conversation, Hebrew. So I pretended as though I was interested in the steam irons. I just came in the country, I already had money like that. I wanted a steam iron, I wanted to see if this is truly Hebrew I heard. So boom, he was talking to me in English. And then I said, where are you from? He said Israel. And we started a little Hebrew conversation. And from the basics that I know, I was able to speak with him because we're not going to talk about chemistry. I don't know no words of chemistry. You understand? So you keep it, where you know. That's how conversation goes. And like Moreh on Instagram, she has a page, Kifar, if you're on Instagram, subscribe to it. And her category for the month is profession. So she would have receptionist, the Hebrew word for receptionist, male and female. Next day, like carpenter. So it's like that she does it, and it builds your vocab. Right, so let's look at some of these words that occur 500 to 5,000 times. And you can inhale and exhale, relax. It's just Hebrew. People are so excited. He's going to call me to say something. I will. All right, so we have the word to eat or devour. Let's say it together. What is it? Achal. Achal is to eat or devour. To say is amar. Go in or come is go. To speak is davar. To be is hayah. To go or walk is halak. To know is yada. To bring forth a child is yalad. What word do we get from yalad? Yawalad, and then we have yeledim or yeled or yalda. Okay? And then we have the word yatsa. If you go to land of Israel, the exit, what would have as exit? Yatzia. Yatzia, from this word yatsa. Okay, just help me to survive. You gotta survive. Then we have the word to sit is yashav. To take is lachwa. To die mut. Lift up or bear nasa. Like how we got the portion coming up naso. To give is natan. That sounds familiar. Oh. And after you go through these words, what I want to do is go around the room and for everyone tell me their name and what it means in Hebrew, and if you know where it's found in the Tanakh. Okay. Please lock that door. To pass over or go is, and that's where we get our name Ivri or Ivrit from. To go up is Allah. To stand is?
Ahmad.
To do or make?
Asa.
Okay. To command is?
Ziwa.
To rise or stand is?
Kum.
To call or meet?
Khara.
To see is?
Ra.
To sit or place? To turn?
Shu.
To send?
Shala.
And heat or hear or give ear to is?
Shama.
Okay, they made a mistake. All right. So, starting with Yaakov. And during the session, Yaakov, you'll be my dikduk ish. Okay? Ish dikduk. All right. You see? You already got me. Ish dikduk. Okay. So, name, what does it mean? Root, you know.
Shalom. Shalom. It means Ekev, your heel. So he will grab the heel. And it became, of course, the name of a famous patriarch. It's, of course, throughout the Tanakh. And that dual meaning is used by his brother Esau when he storms off, when he finds out that his blessing was given away. And he says, is this why you called him Yaakov? Or Yaakoveni? Is it Shnei Palamayim? He's Yaakoved me. He's grabbed me by my heel these 2 times. Because he was grabbing his heel when he was born. He's grabbing it, and then he's going under him these 2 times with the pottage and tricking his father. So that's where Yaakov comes from. But of course, obviously, named for the patriarch.
Yaakov. Okay. So planter. Gotta watch it. All right. Slick Netanyahu.
Slick Jack.
Shabbat Shalom. Netanyahu, meaning Yah has given in the past tense. Used plenty of times throughout the Torah, the Tanakh. Generally, it'd be harder to recognize in the Torah in cases because the noon drops off when you use it in certain forms. So it would be like Yitain or something like that, like he will give. But as we all know, the personage, Natan, the prophet that came to Dawid, and his name meaning he gave as well. So Yah gave.
All right. Go to Rabat. So come back to your hour.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Zadok, which comes from the root Sadiq, which means right or righteousness. And he was a king during the time of he was a Kohen, a priest during the time of Melech Dawid. So you can find my name in the books of the kings around the time of Melech Dawid. So.
Hallelujah. You go to the sister side. You're nervous.
Start with Maisha. Threw under the bus.
My name is Daniela. I'm pretty sure it comes from Don, meaning judge. Don El meaning God. God is my judge.
Hallelujah. Let's let him pass it around.
Can I be him? Okay. My name is not that deep. It actually means beautiful rose. That's my name. Calling the guy name for me, so it doesn't have the deeper meaning that everyone else is.
Don't outplay your name.
That's it.
Okay. You gotta look up the qualities of roses, like the medicinal purposes. That's why you investigate your names.
What was
Look for the medicinal purposes of rose. Nowadays, there's like rose tea. You can boil rose petals and make tea. Check the medicinal purposes, etc. That's how you understand that.
Okay.
Yes, Steve. Okay, our sister.
Shalom.
Shalom.
My name is Nakima. I was never given a Hebrew name. My incidences way of life. But when my Moreh Yakiel looked up what it meant, he said it was a cluster of stars. I don't know what cluster is, but I think stars is Kokav.
Oh, it's a constellation. Yeah. It's a constellation. A constellation, like you look in the sky and you see stars making a shape.
Right.
That's what Kima is.
Right.
Beautiful.
My name is Saadia, and the meaning, from what I remember, it was to be helped by Yah. Where you can find it in the Tanakh, I have no idea what it is. You'll tell me on Monday when we have class. And yeah.
Okay, good Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My last name is Yisrael.
What's your first name, Rabbi Sean?
Tikwa.
Tikwa. What does Tikwa mean?
Hope and love.
Hope and love. Okay, I hope you love.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Kepsiba, and it means my delight is in her. And it's funny that you brought this up because yesterday when I went to the bank, because it's going to be closed on Monday, so I put a little deposit in there. You know, I got to tell a story. So the guy was like, what's... The guy was like, oh, what is your name and what does it mean? So I've been getting this all my life because of the difference of my name, the length of it. So I explained to him, I said, my name is Kepsiba. It means my delight is in her, and you can find it in Isaiah chapter 62, verse 4 through 5. And I was honored to tell him that, and also later on, my father named me that, and he told me what that meant is that the word Jerusalem that we sing now, when we go home, it will no more be Jerusalem. It will be called Kepsiba. So, praise Yah.
Hallelujah.
Could the bearer of the mic, as he's walking, tell us his name and what it means for that?
My name is Zodi. Which means we praise Yah and righteousness.
Okay, so that. It's amazing how you can have the mic and still sound low. Okay, our brother.
Kelia. Hello. Kelia.
What did they mean?
Covered.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Naaman. You can find me in the history where I'm a prophet. Anybody's supposed to go and dump this out. Actually going to the Jordan River, I believe was, to go in the water 7 times because he was had leprosy. So my name is Naaman, means faithful.
Hallelujah.
I'm Shemuel, and it is allegiance. It means Yah to me. No, Yah is my help. Had to. Let's change one.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Oren, translated as, I believe, pine tree or ash tree, also probably saying bay tree, and you can find it, I believe, in Isaiah 44, where Most High uses it, Oren as a Hebrew term, speaking of that particular tree. You can also find the name in the book of Chronicles as one of the, in the lineage of Yehuda as well.
Okay. So his name is not like people hear or and they just think it's like Christmas tree.
The nickname's already stuck. Can't do anything about it. Nicknames don't change.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Gabriel Ben Judah. My name is a precious valuable gift from Yah, being son of Judah. I didn't see my name tonight.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Shemuel. Some places is translated the name of God or name of Yah. In other places is Yahweh. Probably known that his mother was barren for a while, and after she prayed to Jehovah and Jehovah opened her womb, she named the son Yahweh. So I go with that one instead. Because I think that one speaks more, has more content to it.
I think it depends on the spelling as well. The spell with the adequate.
Slick out, speak into the mic.
Hello, my name is Andrew, and my name
Speak clearly.
Come on here, y'all. Do it. Hold the mic.
means Yazwan.
Eliyahu, my Elohim is Yah.
Who's that?
Amod.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Raphael. Yah is my shield.
Rapha,
Healer.
healer.
Yahweh is my healer.
Amod, you will.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Come on, you will. Stop the giggles. You're growing. Come on. All right. It's not funny. What's your name?
My name is Joel.
Okay, all right, enough. Explain your name.
I forgot the entire thing.
You forgot the entire thing? You heal.
I'm not going for that. What's your name?
Kum.
Come take your time, you will. Come on.
I'm finna tape you for your album right now.
Okay, by the time the day is over, you should have a meaning for your name. You should know what your name means. Anybody asks you what your name means, you should be able to tell them right away.
What's your name?
All right, pass the mic. I know some of you are nervous, excited. Just take it. We're all family here. All right, Ron, this is an interesting name.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Avraham, and you can find me in Exodus.
You can find me.
And Shemuel and Leviticus. My name means Yehovah has given me a high exaltation.
Highly elevated.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Takliya. It means completeness with Yah. And I'm also named after Dawid, meaning King David.
Your middle name is David. Okay, go on.
Shalom. My name is Kasiya. It means Yah is merciful.
Hallelujah.
Nasiel.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Nasiel, and my name means Prince of Yah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Kayeli, and it means my life is Yah's. I don't know if you can find it in Tanakh.
Hallelujah.
My name is Naeem, and my name means pleasant.
All right. That's it, everyone. You bring it to Quintado
Thanks, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just have a piece to add to it. Maybe this.
Yes, I'll be free.
Oh, Naomi, come on. Yeah.
You have 2 minutes. Go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Naomi, and it means pleasant. And you can find me in the book of Ruth.
Find me in the book of
Hallelujah. So the question is with all these powerful names, because there's a lot of powerful names in here, how do we manifest our name every day? I'll start with me. I try to be right by everybody I come in contact with. by being honest, truthful, you know, just having a good, positive interaction with an individual that's righteous. And so when I strive to have a good day, I always think about what my name means and how do I make that complete in the eyes of Yah. So I try to be right with people every day. So,
as I continue to try to live up to my name, the one thing that I found is that people always remember me no matter where I go. I don't know why, but I seem to stand out. And so I say that my current job, living up to my name, is just remembering how I make people feel at the end of our interaction. And it's really important to me that if we even had a small anything, that we get that corrected so that we can move forward with that good feeling that I leave people with.
Yeah.
Give it.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So with my name, Netanyahu, I try to be a giver. Be somebody who tries to give, whether it's time, whether it's resources, whatever I have that can help somebody be able to be drawn closer to Yah. I try to give whatever I can, whatever energy and might that I have to help that person in whatever encounter I have.
Thank you, Moreh.
Or to give a hard time on the map.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to share the manifestation? Is everyone having a good time?
Okay. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Because I'm a Levite, I try to live every day with purpose, and I try to teach people that I come into contact with, whether it's the dietary laws or say if their English name is David, I will tell them what their Hebrew name is. I just try to praise Yah in my conversation and let them see the light within me and let that shine. And I see myself doing that often. So that's what I am.
Hallelujah.
Any other person? Shomer Eliezer.
I never really thought about how I live up to what my name means, but I guess I kind of do. I work for OnStar. I don't know who's familiar with what OnStar does, but I like what I do. When I get an elder on the phone that they're lost and they don't know where to go or they're confused, and I can help them get to where they need to be or help them in a situation, I enjoy that. So I mean, I like to help people. And as far as my family is concerned, I try to make sure everybody has what they need when they need it, and just Yah's helped me, so I guess I like to help others too.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Knowing that my name means Yah is my help, I feel like it's in me to give back to what Yah gives me. And it's in me to help my family, my community, in any form or fashion that I possibly can. I've listened to everyone else, and it seems like the same thing. The Creator gives all of us a gift, so we in turn help those from the gift we get from the Creator.
From my personal experience with Shomer, being new in the country and everything, he has truly helped me in many areas. Just remember, I showed an interest. Oh, that motorcycle. He took me to the dealership. Remember that? So yeah, he just does help you further about.
And so Shemuel, Yehovah heard. So I humbly can say that Yehovah has been hearing my prayers. I pray that He continue to hear my prayers. So what I try to do is admonish others to sincerely pray to Yehovah. Those that don't know this way, I try to admonish them to pray to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Since they're not clear on who His name is, just pray to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And if you do that in sincerity, He will answer your prayers. So that's what I try to do as much as I can.
Hallelujah.
Okay, if there are no further name interpreters, this is the next, I think this is the final segment. I want it to be one that is free-flowing. And when we were in Teachers College, you know, there was a fixed curriculum, but there's a curriculum. I'm trying to find the name of it, that was a while ago. But basically, it's student-centered and it's built on the learner. So as the need arises, we're going to fill that need. Okay? So first, I'm going to put up a picture. This is a scene. It could be a cookout, whatever. And okay, it's a cookout. So we are going to speak about this cookout in Hebrew. Okay? So we see people eating, drinking. You could identify the parents, the grandparents, someone is at the grill. All of that we're going to do in the Hebrew language. Now to switch back to these verbs, we have some of these verbs there. We see people eating, saying stuff, speaking, sitting, you know, so we're gonna use those verbs and we're speaking in present tense only. Okay, so it's simple, present tense only. There's an occasion for you to even use colors. We see people with different colored, no, I'm not gonna say the word shirts. Okay, different types of food. We may not know all of these words, but I'm going to show you the resource that you can use. This is the resource. You can go on morphix.co.il, and this basically, Morphix is a dictionary app, but they're using it here for Israelis trying to learn Hebrew, but I use it on the reverse. Okay, so for example, you want to see the word for food. You have the words here. You can use the word ochel. You can use the word mazon or ma'achal. Okay, so that's how morphix.co.il works. So get your little groupings together. I'll leave the picture up, and I give you a few minutes.
What's cookout?
Oh, let's look for cookout.
That's a good one. That's stumping me.
I would say Bashal Bakut and
Okalim Bakut.
Okay, they don't seem to
It's not picnic.
I don't know. All right, so let me put the picture back up.
What's the website? Morphix?
Morphix.
Morphix.
morphix.co.il.
They have an app.
Yes, I use the app, but I don't think it's available there for you. All right, so you have like 15 minutes. Study the picture. Group up, come together, form a sentence. So much in the picture that you can talk about.
Only in the present. Oh no, I'm just talking. You guys able to see?
Okay.
Arucha b'chutz, probably. Arucha b'chutz.
What's it?
Probably arucha b'chutz.
Like
arucha is like
arucha,
the
meal outside.
Yeah.
Outside meal. No.
Or arucha chutz. Yeah, cookout. It's an American thing.
I can remember.
What would you call it? In Guyanese?
Bush cook. Or barbecue.
Not exactly the bush. It's like Uncle Phil's house.
Yeah, but once it's outside, we call it a bush cook. Yeah. Like I was in Barbados at where was that? I think it was Purim, but I had a dinner. And the Israelis, you know, they were talking amongst each other, and I overheard them speaking. And he was saying, "I'm so easy construction."
Oh yeah. Because there's no binya.
Like,
Yeah.
You can do better.
Yeah, it's like of all the history of Hebrew, the idea of constructing something, you gotta borrow.
Come on, banana. Construction.
Now, you can, if you're ready, put your hands up and tell me what you see. Okay.
I'll go left.
All right, Yakaria, Yakaria. What? You just called 2 words. What happened?
Yeah, well, I'm saying I need LeBron.
You're white? Let me not mess with you. Rohe. Uh-huh. Bait. Laban. All right. All right. Now, as I said, as the lesson goes, we'll build on it. So the word he's using, the verb he's using is?
Roeh.
Roeh. He used it in the masculine singular. So let's conjugate that verb in the present tense together. Okay? Roeh,
Ro'ah, Ro'im, Ro'ot.
Everybody got that? Okay. Masculine singular is a man, he would, Roeh. A woman would,
Ro'ah.
A group of men would,
Ro'im.
And a group of women would,
Ro'ot.
Everybody got that?
Cain.
And he wrote at Ro'ah, him Ro'im, him Ro'ot. So it's masculine. Present is very similar. Akod Kepsiba will switch masculine feminine. Okay. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Ani ro'ah mix we mayim.
That is a sentence, but I want to, okay, you're looking at the picture. I want you to say like, in the picture, I see. Oh, yeah. In the picture, I see.
Bitamuna.
You see meats and mine, where?
Al-Hashulkan.
Because I only see meats, I don't see mine, so you gotta tell me where to see it.
Okay, hold on.
You gotta finish it. Come on. All right. Again, a code kept bad. Let's go.
Okay.
In the picture.
I know picture is Timuna.
Ken, in the picture. How do you say in the? Anyone can help her.
Betamuna.
Betamuna.
Okay, so the word in is bet. The word the is ha. So in the picture you say
ba.
You say
You would say ba.
right.
Ba.
Combine it. Bet ha becomes ba.
Okay.
And then tamuna. Okay.
Okay. Batamuna.
Mm-hmm.
Ani ro'ah meets weyayin.
You want this a point to the yayin for me, please?
Ain't.
It's spike punch, man. Come on.
Okay. Good. On the male side, Aaron. Shabbat shalom. Mazon al salachat. Rak al salachat achat or you said you see food on a plate. Which plate? Is there salachat?
Yeah, he did.
All right, I'm just playing to you next. Akos Sadia.
Batamuna aro'ah. Now, you told me to say it one way, she told me to say it another way. Okay?
Batamuna.
Batamuna ani ro'ah arba.
Arba, okay.
We sala'a hashukan. We hamaka hashukan kako welaman.
She see a lot.
In this one, right? there was a brother that taught himself like 4 languages or something. And he used to speak, of course he speaks good Hebrew. So when he finished speaking, one time the enemy said, I can't even speak after him, there's no Hebrew left. Let me get that again. Let's learn from the words you're using.
Batemuna, Aniro'a, Arbe.
Or Amim.
That's what you said.
Arbe Amim.
Arbe Amim. With Salat al Hashulkan.
With Salat. With Salat.
Salat al Hashulkan. With Hamakat al Shulkan.
Where?
Mapat al Shulkan. Kako Welavan.
Said there. So mayo. All right. Next person. Ken.
What was the translation?
Yeah, what did she see?
I lost her.
Well done.
Ken.
Because a lot of people don't know my pot. Like my peat.
Yes.
Is
It's a
square
small
thing.
one,
The big
right.
thing, the
The
tablecloth is my pot.
Oh,
So my peat is a small tablecloth. But
Said it's the other
when
way.
you have a group of people, it's just anashim. If it's a nation of people, it's like millions of people in the street. That's an but anashim are people. Each is a person and isha, like a man and woman. Excellent though. She was saying that. What were you saying in English? They were asking.
I see a lot of people and salad on the table, and the tablecloth is blue and white.
Yeah, that's all. That's good.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, let's jump over to the male side. Who is, okay, what's his name again? Taklitya.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I say.
Aniro e.
Aniro e. Yeladim Yeladot.
Where Yeladot? Talk me out. That's what I'm talking about. Cain, of course. What's the sister's name?
Kima.
Kima. Cain. Cain. The mic's by you. Let me see.
You ready?
Cain.
Ba Ra'ot. Ba Tamuna. Ani Ra'ot. Ro'a. Ha Yelodim. Be Shalahim Mishpaka.
Be Mishpaka Shalhem. That's it there.
Shalahim.
Shalhem. Told me out. Cain, on the hillside. Come on, brothers. Come on, pine tree. Give the pine tree there.
Let me look up a word.
No more lights.
Out of word.
Yes, please.
Oh, let's go to Netanyahu. Binyamin Netanyahu.
Batmuna Aniro e Ish Ma'avir Hazalachat Shepriot El Hana'ar. Batmuna Aniro e Ish Ma'avir Et Hazalachat El Hana'ar. Zalachat Shepriot.
Yes, that's good. He's saying he's seeing the man handing the plate of fruit to the little boy, right?
Cain.
Okay. That's it. Very good. Female again. Oh, here's a counter. Isha wants to counter here.
Cain.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Ba Temuna Ani Ro'a Zarachat Ha-Pri.
Pre-shell.
Zalachat Shel Priot.
Zarachat Shel-Pri?
Okay.
Hallelujah. Lemati Ota.
All right, next male.
Pine cone. Pine cone.
Bad Smuna, Ani Roeh, she would be Anashim Shanayim, or Shanayim Anashim. Two. Shanayim Anashim.
Oh, okay.
Bisu. Well, cooking on the grill, that's what I'm gonna say. Bisu.
Bevashlim.
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 Movashlim.
Me.
Movashlim. Movashlim. Mevashlim.
Mevashlim. And that's that's
cooking two plural meal.
Mevashlim.
Mevashlim. Mevashlim. Mevashlim. We'll go to the verb over. Mevashlim.
Mevashlim.
Movashlim.
Movashlim. Yeah, you lost.
It's like Medaber, right?
Medabri, Medabro, Mevashil, Mevashilet, Mevashlim, Mevashlo.
So Mevashlim. Then I'd say 2 males. Wait, yeah. How would I?
2 males.
2 males cooking or
2 males cooking.
So
Shanayim, Anashim, Mevashlim, Mevashlim. Just there. Don't be on. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right, let's go over the verb cooking. We do that. I was going to say we do that every day, but we go to cook out. All right. So the verb cooking is mevashel, mevashelet, mevashlim, mevashlot. Let's go again.
Mevashel, mevashelet, mevashlim, mevashlot.
See how much Hebrew you learned from this one picture?
Okay.
That's a great exercise.
Okay.
Amen.
All right. The phenom at the back. You go. Give okay, it's her turn. Naomi, you can't use all the words in the picture for back. You're all people.
Batamuna ani ra'a hayom shimshi.
Just there. In the picture, she sees a sunny day. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Tov meod.
That's right. Meal.
Dum dum.
Try it. Don't be afraid.
Dum dum dum.
Ken. Shemuel tonight.
Second.
Batamuna ani ro'eh Rav Devarim.
Rav Devarim.
Ani ro'eh Yafa Nashim.
Nashim Yafot.
Nashim Yafot.
Nashim Yafot. Nashim Yafot.
Ani ro'eh Akat Zakwin.
Zakwin Akat.
Zakwin Akat. Yeah.
That's it there. Told me out. Okay. The rule for numbers, I think I've already asked it. So the rule for numbers is that 1 comes after the object. Okay? Kisei Echad. But for the other numbers, they come before. Shanayim or Kisot. Okay? So that's how it is. The 1 comes after and the others come before. Alright? Alright! Who else to go? Who? Tikwa. Okay, we take. Everyone went already? Yes?
Give me a guy a little something.
Alright.
Batamuna ani
Ahava? Adro Ahava? I didn't. Batumuna Adro what she said, Ahava? Okay, told me, oh, that's lovely, excellent. Yes.
Okay.
All right, Nehemiah. He's there. Sister Dale, come on.
Adios.
He wants it too.
Okay, who wrote A turn the goal at? Listen there.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's have another female available. Or all the females went. Okay, let's get two more, Yoel and Eliyahu, to conclude. All right, come on.
Shabbat Shalom.
What's your name?
Come on, Yoel.
אני רואה ילדים.
מה אתם עושים? מה הם עושים?
אוכלים.
כן, הם אוכלים. בסדר, טוב מאוד. אליהו? בתמונה.
שמעתי.
בתמונה. Take your time. בתמונה. אתה רואה מזון, בסדר. טוב מאוד. Alright, הללויה. So that's one way to study. Stop being afraid. And I'll conclude with one more way to study.
Okay.
Okay. This is one way I study. You may not be able to understand everything, but it is a way that you can try to get a few words out of what is being said. All right, so listen carefully, and I want you to tell me what you hear.
mean, Ro'ah.
What she kept saying at the end? Huh? Trying to figure out what she was saying at the end.
Gamata. You too. All right. Any other words you picked up? No. I didn't hear. You heard ya? I didn't hear. And you wrote she said I see, right? Anyone else picked up words?
I think I heard
Okay.
I think I heard both here.
Here, yes. She said here. Animipo.
Akshal wrote seen by Beta, like I'm wanting to go toward the house or on the way by Derek. She said Akshal wrote seen by Derek as well. Okay.
Because the group, or the singer Idan Raquel, he incorporates a lot of different ethnicities in his group. And she's an Ethiopian, and she's an Israeli Ethiopian. So this is her first trip back home. You understand? So they're basically asking, she's asking, you're saying to me, Ek ani marigish about my home. She said, ani me poem from here. You understand? So when you listen to the words, a very deep song. Anyone else heard stuff? Ken Raphael. How's it? How's it? Okay, go to Rabba. To cry, right?
Cry is
Bacha. Leave God, Ken. Anisha Lak, she said that? Okay. All right, I think. All right, very good. Look at that. Hallelujah. So that's another way you study. Listen to Hebrew songs and you pick up words. You may not pick up every word, but you pick up the gist of what actually is being said. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Go to Rabbi. That applause is for yourself. You did excellent. Appreciate it. I pray that I have inspired you to continue the studying. You know, it doesn't have to be like ani hafti ata hafta. It could be various ways that you incorporate to make it interesting. All right. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let us sing the Shema before going into our closing exercises.
Everybody else playing, you guys come over here.
All right, let's go. Drummers? Okay. Shema.